Time to settle up and ride west. Wind River Resort and Casino is proud to bring Wyoming's own Ian Munsick to the Event Center stage. Friday, July 24th. Rising fast and bringing his signature sound. Ian brings the West to the rest. Tickets are just $60 plus fees. But they won't last long, so don't wait. Make it a country night to remember. Call 1-800-280-YOU-WIN to reserve your room and grab your tickets. Dust off those boots. Your adventure begins here at Wind River Resort and Casino.
Senior Medicare Patrol, HICAP, and PSA2 are all teaming together to fight fraud. It's a Shred Fraud event this Saturday, July 18th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. on 1647 Hartnell Avenue. You got any sensitive documents, Medicare statements, sensitive documents, old bills, the works, opened up mail, right? You don't want to put them in the recycling bin. Shred them first so you can get them shredded for free. Just bring a banker's box to the event and they will do it right there in front of you this Saturday, starting at 9 a.m. until 1 p.m. Temperatures right now are definitely on still the mild side, but certainly not as warm as they have been the last few mornings. So it's cooling off a little bit here, even seeing some 40s for some of the higher elevations, but generally in the 50s for the mountains, and not to mention the coast. Now, taking a look at the Redding Divine Sky Camp. Beautiful shot this morning, right? We're seeing the clear skies. There's a little bit of smoke and haze that has worked its way into extreme northern portions of Northern California. But a little bit of that haze, you can kind of see a little bit of that on the left side of your screen there, the Lake Shastina Golf Resort Sky Cam. But for the most part, it doesn't look like it's inundated with smoke, which is certainly some good news there. This is sponsored by Elwood Ranch, by the way, and out at Jones Valley Resort, also sponsored by Elwood Ranch. You can see fairly calm conditions out there on the lake. You got the sun rising, making for a beautiful morning out on the lake. Visibility has dropped a bit down to 1 mile out in Crescent City. Let's take a look at what it looks right now in Crescent City. Is that the most recent image? Yeah. It says it's 1 mile visibility, maybe up north. I'm not quite sure, but it looks like things are already starting to clear out along the coast. All right, let's get you into your Krueger's Quickcast for your Thursday, July 16th, starting with that skeeter meter. You know, by the way, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns about mosquitoes in your area, you can always call the Shasta Mosquito and Vector Control. They're there for you for free. It's a free service. They're 530-365-3768. And be sure to take advantage of that if you need it. All right, out the door this morning. A little fog, although you saw there in Crescent City, it's already starting to clear out. A little smoky or hazy in some spots, especially in northern Siskiyou and parts of northern Modoc County. Otherwise, mainly sunny skies for most of us. The area of low pressure to our north, that's producing still some showers off into eastern Oregon and into Washington. We're also seeing that monsoonal moisture, typical this time of the year, over the desert southwest. We'll eventually be tapping into that, but not today. There's some of the clearing that we do have for parts of the coast here for today. Sunny skies for the rest of Northern California. No showers, no thunderstorms like we even saw yesterday. Temperatures, not as hot as they were yesterday. In fact, Redding saw a high of 106 degrees. How about 100 today? Cooler, right? But still hot. Upper 90s for Chico at 98, 96 degrees for Willows, and 80s and 90s for the higher elevations. Tonight, another mild night, mid-60s for the valley, 40s and 50s for the mountains, and looks like in the low 50s for the coast. Quick look at your 7-day outlook. For Redding, you're going to hover around 100 degrees, give or take. There's going to be a slight dip in the temperatures across the board on Monday, but overall, outside of that, upper 90s, about 100 for Redding, mid to upper 90s for Red Bluff, and Chico, mid-90s on average. Taking a look at the coast, partly to mostly cloudy skies, low 60s. Inland, kind of up and down here. We're low 80s today, but back up to 91 tomorrow, 97 on Saturday, 100 on Sunday, and then temperatures dropping slightly after that. But for Trinity County, generally in the mid-90s, give or take. For Siskiyou County, I've included a chance for thunderstorms on Monday. Now, stay tuned to the forecast. Of course, we're going to go into the deeper dive, too, because on either side of that, Sunday and then, of course, Tuesday of next week, there may be the potential for some activity as well. But that's one of those things where I think the core of it, the main event of monsoonal moisture, looks at this point to be on Monday of next week. Let's take a look at that fire weather outlook. And starting off with some of the latest fires that we do have out there, the good news is any of the fires that we do have over Northern California, they really haven't been spreading very rapidly. The firefighters have been getting, seems like each day, getting more and more containment, like that of the 3-1 pit fire at just over 1,000 acres. Last week, really, I've been talking about it at 1,055 acres, but that containment just keeps going up. All right, then we take a look at the Loomis fire, which earlier this week was combined with what once was the Lumbee fire. Those two are combined together as one. 656 acres at 45% containment. Looking at the Twain fire, we're seeing more containment here as well at about 75% with 276 acres as of the last update. And looking at the latest fire perimeter from the Elephant Fire, it is the largest here in the North State at 13,016 acres. It has certainly grown over the last 24 hours, but we're also seeing that containment grow as well. A lot of people are on this fire with about approximately 615 incident personnel. All right, let's take a look at the smoke. And again, a little hazy this morning in some spots, a little smoky to the north. That's gonna retreat back to the north later today, but by tonight, we could be looking at more of that smoke coming in from the East Evans Creek fire in southern Oregon. Now, because of the gusty winds we're expecting and the dry conditions, no more thunderstorms, folks. We're done with thunderstorms today, tomorrow, and even going into your Saturday. So the fire weather watch has nothing to do with lightning strikes. It has everything to do with the fact that it's going to be a little gusty, it's going to be hot, and it's going to be very dry. That's going to elevate that fire weather risk for not only tomorrow, but even today. As you can see, those areas shaded in that tannish color, if you will. Same story here for tomorrow. Now, it is worth noting that even though the valley is not part of that elevated fire risk, that doesn't mean we don't have an elevated fire risk, because we do. Let's start with the winds. Now, usually I talk about, and one of the first things I say is no major wind events, because that's the case. Yes, 20, 25 miles per hour is gusty. That helps to elevate the fire weather risk, but nothing unusual about what we're seeing here. When we start getting into the 30, 40, 50 mile an hour range, that's when we got to be the most concerned. But once again, you can see even by the time we get into the weekend, the winds actually start to die down a little bit here. But we also take a look at the temperature. We take a look at the humidity, which, by the way, humidity numbers are the numbers on your screen there. The fire weather risk is the color coding. And typically this time of the year, yellows and oranges. What does that mean? Moderate to high fire weather risk. It's almost an everyday occurrence for the valley and even the mountains north and east of the valley. You look at how dry it is, single digits for the valley, single digits in low teens for many of the higher elevations as well. Not only today, not only tomorrow, but Saturday, Sunday as well, going through the weekend. You know, I gave you the latest update on the fires. I gave you the latest on the fire weather outlook. This is a moving target, and you can always go to weathernorcal.com, click on fire danger, and from there, you'll get all the information you need. You got watch duty, you got any evacuation watches or evacuation orders, which there aren't any at this point over Northern California. Again, at this point, that's why it's important to keep checking in, especially if you're close to one of the fires that we currently have out there right now, because things can change rapidly. You also have access to all of the emergency management offices for your county, so you can get the latest information there as well, and fire weather data as far as fire weather risk and the works. It's all right there, a one-stop shop at weathernorcal.com on that fire danger page that I have developed. All right, let's take a look at the Redding Divine Sky Cam, looking at the clear skies that we do have out there this morning. Doesn't look like much of a breeze, so that's good to see, but that will probably pick up later this afternoon. Out at Jones Valley Resort on Shasta Lake, sponsored by Elwood Ranch, you've got mainly clear skies and not to mention fairly calm winds as well, keeping the conditions on the lake looking pretty good. You'll notice a little bit of haze. That's some of that smoke coming in from the East Evans Creek fire in southern Oregon. And that should start to retreat back northward here throughout the morning and through the afternoon as well. Taking a look at Soda Ridge camera. Yeah, if you look off the left part of your screen there, you'll notice Black Butte, that little peak right there. Behind it, you can see the smoke. And that's where the smoke is to the north of, say, around Mount Shasta, for example. Lassen Peak Park, you can see clear, crystal clear blue skies out there. Should be a good day to head on out to the park after some of the thunderstorms that we did see yesterday, although I think it was kind of north of that yesterday. Taking a look at Lake Oroville, you can see some of the water out there and some of the clear skies that we have as well. Main Street Chico on Highway 32. Not a lot of traffic this morning, is there? A little bit more traffic, though, on Highway 99 at Neal Road, as we typically see. And you can see the clear skies that we do have off in the distance as well. Here's a look at Crescent City Harbor District. And yes, things have cleared out again. I have to see that there's movement in that image, and there is. So this is a live shot, and things have cleared out pretty rapidly this morning, especially out in Crescent City. Very nice. Let's take a look at Bald Hill West, and you can see looking down at Hoopa Valley, we are looking at some of the clear skies we do have out there, and also looking out at Scott Valley. This is Fort Jones, not Jones Valley. Fort Jones, looking down at Fort Jones, but of course Scott Valley in general. And yeah, so Jackie Dixon is checking in this morning because I'm like, wow, it just cleared up pretty quickly. And Jackie's saying, yes, even in Trinidad, it looks like the fog is beginning to break up. So pretty quickly this morning, we're beginning to see that. Also getting a good morning from Jeff Johnson this morning. Thank you, Jeff, for your kind words, and good morning to you as well. Well, Coffee with Krueger is made possible by Wind River Resort and Casino. Without our sponsors, what I'm doing here would not be possible. A word from Wind River Resort and Casino.
It's time to kick back, forget about your trouble, and have a good time. Wind River Resort and Casino is proud to welcome Uncle Krueger back to the Event Center stage Friday, August 14th. Drift away with his signature laid-back blend of country, pop, and rock, spiked with a splash of hip-hop. Tickets for this feel-good summertime show start at just $25 plus fees. Smile as you enjoy over 2 decades of multi-platinum top charters. Reserve tickets today at windriver.com. Your adventure begins here. Wind River Resort and Casino.
Just sitting here enjoying my cup of coffee. I mean, after all, it's called Coffee with Krueger, right? You got to have your cup of coffee with Krueger, or whatever it is you drink in the morning. Just learning more about all the great entertainment that they got going on over there at Wind River Resort and Casino. Be sure to check out their website. They got all kinds of great entertainment here throughout the year. Let's get into your deeper dive forecast. Thursday, July 16th. All right, let's take a look at your headlines. So yesterday, as I've mentioned, was the peak of the warming trend. Yesterday, Redding saw a high of 106 degrees. Today, temperatures are starting to kind of level off again. The normal high, at least for Redding, is about 100 degrees, a little bit cooler than that in Chico. But we're going to be about normal today, through the rest of the week, through the weekend, and even most likely through next week. Yes, we're going to see some ups and downs in there. In fact, a nice little break from the heat on Monday, a slight break. I mean, we're talking instead of 100, more like 95 for Redding, but you get the idea, a bit of a dip in the temperatures. But another thing over the next few days is the drier air. We're done with the thunderstorms for now. I don't expect any more lightning strikes. It was a little unexpected that we did see some of that activity yesterday, but we did. And most of it was in Modoc County yesterday. But no more dry lightning today or tomorrow. It's just the elevated fire risk because of the winds, because of the drier air and the heat as well. And the return of the monsoonal moisture this weekend, I put a question mark in there, because the last few days it's been a little questionable as to whether or not it will. A little bit more confidence that actually may happen. But right now we're still fairly mild, upper 60s to around 70 in the valley, 50s for the most part in the higher elevations. You can see Susanville, one of the warmer spots at 61, cooler up in Alturas at about 49, and right around 50 degrees right now in Crescent City and Eureka. Low pressure to our north, right, to our north and west. That's producing the rain that we're seeing over the Pacific Northwest. Monsoonal moisture. Now, you can see here, this is the loop from the last 12 hours. So you see that, all the cloud cover, those are the thunderstorms that we did see. Then we go into the overnight hours, those thunderstorms die out. Now, a lot of times there's still some leftover clouds, but not necessarily much in the way of rain. We're going to be looking at more of those clouds developing again this afternoon. And eventually, some of that working its way back up into Northern California. But with the help of some tropical activity here, tropical storms, hurricanes most likely to our south as we go into early next week, and that could also be tapping into not only the monsoonal but some of that subtropical moisture coming in from the south. So here's the big picture with our European forecast model. You'll see the pulsating thunderstorms, right? Thunderstorms in the afternoon, dying out overnight, back up the next day. But the high pressure system, by the time we get into Sunday and Monday, we start to see that flow around that area of high pressure. And once again, we get a tap into that monsoonal moisture. But also, because of all the tropical activity we're seeing to the south, we're also tapping into a little bit of that as well. So a little bit of both. Let's see what I can do here. So we're kind of getting from the monsoonal moisture here and the tropical moisture here, and that's all coming up into parts of Northern California. That's going to give us more cloud cover Sunday, and eventually maybe some thunderstorms on Monday, maybe some leftover moisture on Tuesday before we dry things out again come Wednesday, Thursday of next week. Monsoonal moisture still off to our east, and we have a bit of a trough of low pressure. That's also going to kind of keep our temperatures at bay. Drier air, that's indicated by the brown and those blue colors right here. That's where we are right now. This is where we'll be by the second half of the weekend and early next week. So you can see that monsoon moisture working its way in. There's some of that tropical activity here. And so we're kind of getting a combination of the two. Again, I'm going to try to do this here. So you can see it all kind of comes up like this. And then it's going to be coming in Sunday night into Monday. And there it is. So added cloud cover, I think, on Sunday. Not necessarily much in the way of rain. There may be a little bit of shower activity for parts of the eastern mountains on Sunday, but Monday's the main event. And the thing is, it looks like now we may see some of that work its way to the west of the valley as well. Valley, much like this last event with the monsoonal moisture, may potentially see some sprinkles or light showers, but it didn't really get any with this last one, so chances are pretty slim. Most of it will be confined in the higher elevations. Tuesday, some leftover moisture, but then by Wednesday, Thursday, yeah, we're back to those browns and those light blues indicating the drier air that will be in place by Wednesday, Thursday, and even Friday of next week. But there's all that tropical activity down to the south. All right, let's take a look at Futurecast now. Take you through the weekend. So what we're seeing here already, some of the clearing that we are seeing, especially in Del Norte County, we'll probably still see some clearing this afternoon with more clouds coming in tonight, early tomorrow morning, giving you more of that fog, but some clearing for Friday afternoon. We're not really seeing a lot of cloud cover or any clouds developing through the afternoon, not only today, but even tomorrow for the higher elevations. A little bit of that monsoonal moisture just skirting the eastern mountains here by Saturday, but still dry. Then on Sunday, there it is. See that moisture moving in, and it is showing some rain trying to develop. But this will be that typical setup, right, where we have very dry conditions as we speak right now. Those dry conditions are what's going to impact whether or not we see rain. So what happens is we see that monsoon moisture come in on Sunday. There may be some rain, but what you'll see here, especially if you're in the eastern mountains and maybe even parts of the valley, you'll see the clouds moving in. You'll see those streaks coming from the clouds, but they don't quite reach all the way to the ground. That's called virga. It's rain that evaporates before reaching the ground. And because it's so dry at the surface, the rain evaporates before reaching the ground. Now, sometimes they may be a little bit heavier, and they can in the form of a light sprinkle, but overall, not a lot of activity on Sunday. And then going into Monday, that's when we see the better chance for some of those thunderstorms begin to develop. So remember I was talking about we're just going to kind of level off around normal, and that's the case. Look at the high for Redding. The normal high is 100 degrees. That's that blue line. That's where we're going to be today, all the way through the end of next week into the next weekend, with the exception of Monday, where we do expect to see a little bit of a dip in those temperatures. Lake levels, no big surprises. They're still over 100% in most cases, although right at 100% of that historical average for Shasta Lake. Wave heights, they look to be increasing a little bit here for your Friday. As of right now, no small craft advisories. That may change over the next 24 hours, but for now, just no advisories here, just some of the patchy fog that we'll see. North winds at about 10 to 15 knots, eventually increasing this afternoon, with those waves from the northwest at 3 feet at 9 seconds, and from the southwest at 1 foot at about 17 seconds. Here's your neighborhood forecast, sponsored by Dignity Health and Grange Co-op. Temperatures generally in the 90s, upper 80s, low 90s for the most part in Trinity County. For now, I've got it dry on Monday for Trinity County. This is when we see the peak of that monsoonal moisture moving in. That could potentially bring some showers, thunderstorms, even in Trinity County, so we'll certainly be on the lookout for that. But for now, I'm keeping it dry. Most likely dry any way you look at it for the North Coast, Del Norte, Humboldt counties, maybe some of those extreme eastern portions of the North Coast, places like Orleans, maybe Hoopa, maybe Willow Creek, seeing that potential for a shower on Monday, but for the most part, I'm going to keep you dry. Siskiyou County, yes, I think you could get caught up in some of that monsoonal flow, as well as possibly Tuesday. We're going to be ironing out the details of these 3 days. This is the 3 days, right? The setup, monsoonal moisture just beginning to move in Sunday. The peak of it's on Monday. It starts to move out on Tuesday, but still some lingering moisture, and then drying out by next Wednesday. Modoc County, you can see we're looking at temperatures in the upper 80s to low 90s today. Same setup, right? It begins to move in Sunday, begins to move out by Tuesday. So still even Tuesday of next week, there could be a shower or thunderstorm even for the eastern mountains. Otherwise, temperatures staying in the low to mid 90s for your daytime highs. For the valley, temperatures to the south at least. Chico about 98, 96 for Durham, 96 degrees in Elk Creek and Willows, and Pasquinta about 97 degrees. Looking at your 7-day forecast for Chico, mid 90s, although that nice little dip in the temperatures on Monday, back in the mid 90s by Tuesday and Wednesday. About 100 degrees for Redding as well as Anderson and Palo 98 for Red Bluff, and Lakehead about 93 degrees. Looking at your 7-day forecast for Redding, just hovering around the upper 90s, about 100 degrees. Through Sunday, a little dip in those temperatures on Monday, and then upper 90s to about 100 degrees by Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. All right, we got a couple of other people checking in here, and she said, my mom told me it was around 140 degrees in Gerber. Yeah, no doubt about that, right? The Reading Airport saw 106. The farther south you go, south of Reading, we do see temperatures drop a little bit here, but still 104 degrees. Eesh, no, thank you. And Christina, thank you so much. Coffee with Krueger is the best. I appreciate you, Christina, and I appreciate all of you who sit down and have your coffee with me and get your latest update. You know, one of my goals with this show is simple. You know, one of the things I used to hear a lot when I was in the TV industry, I won't say who it was with because I don't want to do that, but when I was in the TV industry, is that we don't watch the news. They would put it on mute, and then when they're watching the news, and then when I came on, they would turn off mute and put on the weather. So here's the beautiful part. If you have access to Roku, Amazon Fire Stick, YouTube on your TV, right? So if you, most likely you have a smart TV, that is a TV that can connect to the internet. Most TVs these days, over the last 5 years or so, all come with their own apps, including YouTube. So even if you don't have Roku or Fire Stick, you can still get the 24-hour channel available. And so what you can do is when you wake up in the morning, you're brewing your morning cup of coffee at 6:30 in the morning, tune in, if you will, with your Roku or your smart TV and put on Coffee with Krueger. It usually runs for about a half an hour. You can have it running around in the background and you can keep it on. You don't have to mute it because there's no news. We don't talk news here. We talk weather. And that's what people prefer in the morning to get themselves ready for the day. So there you go. So that's kind of, you know, tell your friends, tell your family about it. It's a great way to wake up in the morning because, you know, you get news throughout the day, right? You get it on social media. It's all over the place. It's inundated. And people don't get their news the way they used to. And really, honestly, the weather as well. And that's why I started Weather NorCal, because it's all digital, because that's where most people are these days. Yes, I know there still is a TV audience, but it certainly isn't what it used to be. Good morning from Curtis Brown. Curtis is saying, what is he saying? Had 108. Oof. Yikes. Yowza. All right. Yeah. 106 at the Reading Airport, 108. There you go. We've also got Jeff Johnson asking a question. Hey, Mike, how about the winds through Reno? I'm heading there. Well, let's take a look at the winds, shall we? Let's get you to it. Let's see here. Where are the winds? Where are the winds? There they are. We'll try to focus. I don't have Reno on the map here, but if you look right over here, it's a little, there we go. We'll do that. Oops, I got to bring it back. Let's get you to Reno, shall we? For today, let's take a look. By noon, there you're getting into the, I'd say, 10 to 20 mile an hour range. By the afternoon, evening, okay, it's picking up. You're getting into some of the yellows. You're talking 20, 25. I'd say about 25 miles per hour. This afternoon, zoom in. It's a little more transparent, but you can see some of the yellows in there. Yeah, and a little gusty going into tonight. Let's take a look at tomorrow, because you said you're heading out there. I guess you're heading there today. I don't know if you're heading out there for a couple of days or whatever, but there's Friday, a little gusty as well. Saturday, probably not as bad, but still upwards in the 20, 25 mile an hour range. So yeah, no major wind events for Reno, but I do think the winds may be a little bit stronger in Reno than what we're seeing, say, in the valley, for example. So there you go. There you go, Jeff. So hopefully that helped you. Just note that, yeah, it'll be a little breezy out there, but overall, no major wind events heading our way. All right, let's get out of there. Good, that's all. Did I? Oh my gosh, I am... Ay. Okay, let's do this again, shall we? Because I forgot. Ay. Here you go. There they are. There are the winds. All right, so Reno is right here, that little circle of the road. So here you go, Jeff. You're asking about this. So the winds, let's take a look at that. We go into this afternoon and evening, you can see some yellows in there. So you're getting into about the 25, 30 mile an hour range. Tomorrow morning, not that bad. And then by the afternoon, 25 to 30 miles an hour. And then on Saturday, you can see kind of in the, I'd say 20 mile an hour range. And Sunday, 20, 25 miles per hour range. It looks like as you go into some of the higher elevations, some of those mountain summits, as we typically see, the winds are a little bit stronger there. All right, so you finally got to see it. I was just talking about it before that. I do that sometimes. That's what we call a one-man band, folks, and you're multitasking, if you will, and you tend to sometimes forget to maybe push a button that you need to push, and that's exactly what happened. Let's check in with some of you. Let's see here. We've got good morning coming in from Tracy Sackett and Jeff. Thank you. Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate that. I'm glad I could help. That's what we're here for, right? So if you happen to have a question, you're heading out somewhere and you want to know what the weather is, at least in our general vicinity, maybe slightly outside of our viewing area, I can very quickly and easily grab some graphics for you and we can kind of go through it for you. But yeah, that's kind of what it's looking like. Let's see if there's anything interesting coming in from our national calendar days. What do we have today? Well, let's go through this together. And I'll actually put on, there it is. There it is. You can see it. You can hear me. You can see it. All right, good. Get to know your customers day. Cool. Yeah. I try to do that with my clients. Get to know them. National AI Day. Okay, interesting. Man, what are your thoughts about AI? I've had a conversation with Aiden. I mean, he's got one more year of high school, and then he's off, into the real world for the most part, maybe going off to college. But, AI is like, who knows what's happening? We talk about AI safe careers to get into that may protect you from losing your job. National Dole Whip Day, Corn Fritters Day, National Personal Chef Day. If you have a personal chef, celebrate them, I guess. I would celebrate them every day, right? National Cherry Day. Who doesn't love a good cherry, right? Oh, look who's here this morning. Oops, what did I do? I did something here. I'm multitasking again, and I'm having some issues with it. There you go. There's a look at our Divine Skycam. And speaking of our Divine Skycam and the sponsor of that, it would be Kenny Elwood. Thank you, Kenny, for your sponsorship, and good morning to you. Here's a look. By the way, if you haven't been to Divine Restaurant, even if you don't live in Reading, I highly recommend it. If you come to Reading and you're looking for a good place to eat, oh man, not only do they have amazing food, but they've got this great view that you can see right here. You can go out on the patio, eat your food there. They're amazing food, and you get an amazing view on top of that. We even went out there on a hot summer day. I think it was last week. It wasn't too bad. It was a little warm. They kept asking if we wanted to go inside in the AC, but we were fine. So great customer service, great food, the works. Check it out. And we have got Edeline Swafford. Good morning to you, Mike, and good morning to you. Looks like a nice little profile picture there on the Sundial Bridge. Thank you so much for checking in, and there you go. All right, let's leave you with some more cameras here, and some of them sponsored by Elwood Ranch as well. Have yourselves a great day. We'll see you for your Friday edition of Coffee with Krueger. Yes, we're getting closer and closer to the weekend. Have a great day, everyone.